Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in our community. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pumphouse Coffee Roasters, the Lotus Travel Company, Hopportunities Self-Serve Beer Hall, and the Bishop's Water Company. Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones. I'm at Media Zone in Palm Beach County, Florida, with some fantastic people. Dr. James Spencer, how you doing today, buddy?
Always a pleasure to see you. You know that.
And we have special guests in the studio today, don't we?
And beautiful sunny skies, thankfully.
Well, of course.
Yes.
We're not in Manhattan anymore.
No, this is true. So, yes, our special guest today, we have Rise with Dina and Becca.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're excited.
Yes, so let's talk about the podcast and how you guys got started with that.
Sounds like a plan.
Take it away, Beck.
Well, it all kind of started, we found ourselves living together unexpectedly, and we'd wake up and have these epic conversations that Dina suggested we should be recording.
We're both Aries, and this is what we do. We get up with like balls of energy, not those kind of balls, but we're raring to go in the morning. And we were just like, what we're saying kind of needs to be shared with the world, because it really was helping us get through the pandemic. You know, just having each other and just kind of keeping each other uplifted with just like our quirky conversation.
Yeah, and it just kind of grew from there. We got some good subject matter from people who were either listening to us for our first couple of episodes or people who'd been following us on social media. And so it just kind of took off, and now it's very interactive, and we've got like good subject matter that people want to know about. And we just sit with our coffee at our kitchen table and talk about life.
Well, I told Mike that's what I liked about it. It was real authentic, and you guys were consistent, which was the key. You know, too often I think Mike and I see that people aren't willing to just start or do it. And you guys were doing that. So kudos to you.
Thank you. I think this is one of those years where it's like, well, we've got nothing to lose. So we might as well jump 2 feet in and see what happens. Like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
So what's the traits of an Aries?
Ooh, you literally just took the words out of my mouth, because I was going to say one of the things that like we are known for is being really hard on ourselves and perfectionists. So the fact that we even launched this thing, I think kudos to us for that, because we talked about it for a while, and then one day we're like, let's just sit down and do it.
We also a tendency to have a lot of ideas, and then we do a little bit of a lot, and then we don't really complete all of it or like one thing. So we talked about this for like a couple months.
A few months, yeah.
And then finally we're like, let's just put the phone out and record what we need to record, and then see where it goes.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, if there was a fly on the wall, they'd probably appreciate this like conversation about life or yoga or travel or friendships or dating or anything, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I liked about the content too, is you guys just, you're real and authentic and getting out of your head. There's so many people that just have the conversation upstairs, but aren't willing to discuss those or have like deeper conversations. And that's what I appreciate about you guys.
Thank you. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about our friendship, though, is we are able to talk about pretty much everything without there being a fear of offending or
drama.
There's
no drama.
Yeah.
I mean, we live together. I don't know if y'all know this, but we live together in a 1-bedroom apartment right now.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the truth. We share a bed.
We share a bed, which,
Wow.
think what you will. And it's been about 8 months now, and we don't cross the streams as we say.
There's a meridian line. It's invisible.
But I mean, how many people, can say that you can do that and not have some sort of, drama?
Yeah. It's good. We're able to talk things through, and I think it's a reflection of our podcast. And this is something that we've been discovering the more that we do it, is we both also have very limited memory, and we can't remember things. We're like, wait, why am I 85 years old? I can't remember what happened yesterday. And yet when we start to talk in our podcast, things come up that we weren't even planning on talking about, that we didn't even remember until that moment. So it's been like a nice kind of jarring of this trip down memory lane.
It is.
And getting to know each other even more.
Yeah, things I didn't know about you, like you were a lunch lady.
Uh-oh.
That's awesome.
That was a fun discovery.
I loved that job, you guys. This is not even
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And tell the listeners a little bit about the retreats and what y'all have going there.
Oh, we're really excited about this. So both Becca and I have been leading retreats around the world for a few years now. And with the pandemic and everything shutting down, that we were actually leading a retreat in Mexico when we found out that we were going home to no jobs and the world was closing down. And it's just so ironic that we were together there and now we're together here. But that's one of our biggest passions is travel. And I think I know I can speak for you when I say that living in New York is really tough, but knowing that we would get away to these like beautiful islands and, places a few times a year made it manageable, right? Yeah. Especially in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
But now that we live here, we're like, well, we live on vacation, so we're not itching to get away necessarily, although we do have some exciting retreats coming up in some destinations for 2022. But we're thinking of doing just something local because we really want to immerse ourselves in the community and get to know. It's not just for women, men, everyone. It's all inclusive. We're going to do them on the beach. We're going to lead some classes, and just have some really empowering banter like we tend to do. Just keep it really organic. And then we're going to do some really cool photos because that's one thing we love.
And we've been fortunate to meet some really amazing entrepreneurs down here in the short time that we've been here who are really good people. And I think that speaks volumes to the community that's down here that we're very slowly starting to immerse ourselves in, is everybody's just so nice, like so you guys. But it's been great. So, and these are entrepreneurs who offer something really unique on their own. And so we're like, why not join forces and offer something incredibly different and exciting for people that maybe they've not done before. So it's like a daytime retreat. So you have class, you have a picnic, you have a photo shoot, you go home feeling great, meeting new people. And it's good for us because then we can meet more people as well. And that's what we love.
And support other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of classes for those who don't know your background?
Well, I'm just kidding. I actually, when I first got into the fitness industry, I was focused on bar training, which is like ballet infused fitness. And then I also do this modality called body art. It's not body painting, even though that would be really fun. Maybe we could do that and do the workout. But it's this great team from Europe put together basically this synergized journey of movement that is very much based on the Chinese principles of yin and yang. So there are some yoga influences, but there's also cardiovascular training. It's barefoot. I know we talked about our love affair of barefoot conditioning and balance, and a lot of that goes into what I do. And I've been teaching for an online website called Daily Burn for about 6.5 years. And so that just kind of was a nice segue into the fact that I'm now leading these mobility classes virtually through Becca Pace Fitness, ladies and gentlemen.
Becca Pace Fitness.
Yeah, sign up at use offer code. But
I know.
It's like, I know when we were just sitting out there talking, of course the balance stuff will get him excited and me too. But I think that you just channeling your energy into something positive with everything going on last year is really admirable. Because there's so many keyboard warriors out there and everyone getting tied up with the politics and the race and the religion and everything else. And like, yeah, sure, we all have our beliefs and things, but you still have to live everyday life and be a good person. Right. And so starting your show, just being authentically yourself, which is very apparent in just a couple minutes of conversation with you. It's like, you don't have a lot of fucks to give.
This is true. Well, we've just merged into a new decade of life. And so we don't give as many Fs. She says a lot of them.
You can say it. I mean,
I just turned 40
and I'm 41. And, I think that I've seen a big change happen in the last decade, and just in terms of what is important. And I think especially going through what we went through, it just really opens your eyes to
what's important
and how limited our life and our time here is. And, I'm a yoga teacher and straight up yoga. So we don't cross paths with what we do, which is really cool. We complement each other. But I think one big thing that yoga brought to me was just the mental health element. And I think a lot of people miss that because yoga's become just kind of this workout based thing now, which listen, it's great. Anything that gets you to move, I'm into. But, I think that was like one of the things that kind of spawned the podcast is we really needed to talk it out for our mental health. And then we were like, there's probably other people who are feeling the same way and maybe losing motivation to get on their mat and move. So we're like, maybe, we could kind of inadvertently remind people how good it feels to just take care of your mental health.
Yeah.
So.
What I appreciate about both avenues that you guys teach is the aspect of being present, right? Whether it's mobility or you're exploring, you're learning, or just being calm and allowing yourself to process what you're feeling at that time, whether it's a particular muscle or a particular movement. And that's really what I've found myself that's been meditative for me.
Yeah.
And also just to educate others, like, hey, you got to go be present and explore those to really feel that change.
We always talk about this. Don't focus on the past. Don't focus on the future, because the present is the gift.
Right.
And we say this to all of our students, because sometimes it can be, if you're not used to working out, it's a little daunting and maybe a little intimidating to get started. But the biggest thing to do is just to get started and to, meet yourself where you are today, because tomorrow's another day. Don't think about that. Let's just focus on today. And it's okay to be wherever you are right now in your like fitness and movement and mental clarity journey, because we're all in it together, which is great. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that's another reason we started this podcast, is because, through social media, obviously people look at your pictures and they think about you in a certain kind of way. But, we're just so quirky and nerdy, and, we're just so much more than our pictures doing like a pose or whatever, or, so we wanted people to really have like pull back the curtain on our, our true selves, so.
Yeah, because we laugh a lot.
Oh yeah.
couldn't tell.
We do.
Well, and I think there's, like I was telling you before, like I had a yoga membership here in Palm Beach County, and it wasn't just to do yoga. It's because I had a connection with the people that went, and the teachers that we had, and like, the hot or the iced towel at the end in Shavasana, and like the thumb press on your third eye, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that is. It gives me the chills to think about. And like, you can try to replicate that online a little bit. And I think there has to be this hybrid model going forward. Yeah. But like, we're human beings. We love the connection. We love the interaction. And so I'm glad that you guys were able to come to Florida and find some roots here. And it sounds like it's going to be going forward. You guys will just be like roomies forever here in Palm Beach County.
I literally put a meme on my social media yesterday that was like, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it's like, you don't need to get married and have kids. Just buy a house with your 5 best friends and all your dogs and cats.
Yes.
It's great. And it's funny because one of my younger sisters and I always had this like ongoing inner, bond where we're like, you know what, if we find ourselves single at like 45 or 50, we'll just move in together. And here we are. And I'm like, are you ready to commit to that? But
how many cats do you have?
I have just 2 cats. I'm not crazy, but this is something that we do talk about a lot, and there's something really special, and I'm sure you guys feel the same. When you have a really strong bond with close friends, that's the type of relationship that's irreplaceable by any other means. And it's you can get a lot out of something that's not necessarily what is your ideal relationship. And so we're discovering all kinds of great things, taking ourselves out of that little bubble of what you should be doing and what just feels great and right. So
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about the podcast and some goals that you guys have for that.
Well, I can't even believe we're 16 episodes deep already.
Either.
And each week we always, we kind of get nervous, like, are we going to be able to come up with content? And then organically we always do, just because we have these talks that are never rehearsed. And then we're, so I don't think we struggle at all for content. I think we're going to have content for days. But some of the goals I think are just to continue to build this sense of community. And when you were talking, Mike, about just, this hybrid model moving forward of maybe online classes and teaching in person, I think one of the biggest things to keep the online presence going is that interpersonal connection. And, one thing that I really try to do as a yoga teacher when I teach virtually is give my students these cues as if I was touching them, like, oh, imagine I'm behind you and I'm grabbing your hips and pulling them back. And then of course it's not the same as the physical touch, but those little cues, really kind of make things click. So.
And I think also just to kind of have that hybrid is we have people who are tuning in from all over the country and the world. Yeah. And it's a beautiful connection that wouldn't otherwise be able to happen if we were strictly doing what we were doing a little over a year ago. We're now allowing people to take classes with us who no longer live in the same city as us or vice versa. So But
you have like a client in Switzerland or something, right?
I do. A really good friend of mine who used to take my class in New York, and she moved to Switzerland a few years back. And yeah, she's been tuning in. She's like, I can't believe you're still teaching, Dina. Like, I couldn't believe I could find your classes. So it's really, really cool. And in terms of the podcast, I mean, we have people tuning in from Pakistan. We have people tuning in from all over the world. And we're like, how did you find us?
I know, it's pretty great.
Know? So I think that's the goal, is just to keep growing and, casting such a wide net and just getting to know people from all over and just impacting them and having them impact us too.
And maybe having some guests on as well.
We would love that.
The global footprint.
Yeah.
What about the name Rise? So is this an acronym? Does it mean something deeper?
I think
we struggled with the name because we're like, we don't want it to be cliche, and there's so many podcasts, right? So we went back and forth a lot about it.
I think it just had to do with the fact that now we live in a place that we wake up and Rise is kind of like the main. It's such a perfect descriptive word, because we wake up and we're like, oh, what a beautiful morning. We're like so excited. The birds are chirping.
We rise with the sun, which was like not how it was in New York. I mean, I would like pull the blinds.
I taught really early classes, so I was up before the sun. But now,
like not by choice.
Yeah, not by choice.
Now
I had
just,
an alarm.
Spring up with the sunshine, and we're like, it's a great day, and we say these affirmations, and it's just those things. I think people sometimes laugh at stuff like that, but I think every single day we encourage people who listen to our podcast to say, get in the mirror and just say what you're grateful for. And as corny as it sounds, like we've seen a big shift since we've started doing that, and if nothing else, just internally.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we had that conversation with Noah.
I thought you were going to say something else.
No.
I thought you were going to say lead by example.
Well, they are, right?
Yes.
But we had that conversation with Noah about, rising with the sun and what it does health, hormonally, circadian rhythms.
It's amazing not to have that beeping alarm. Oof. And it doesn't happen for everybody naturally, especially if you're a night owl. That's just how it's going to be. But there is something really amazing about having accomplished so much by like 9 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, I've got the rest of the day to just like chill out now.
I'm sure your cats were like, okay, Mom, go back. Like, we liked waking up at 7.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. These little divas are like, excuse me, my bowl is empty at approximately 6:30 a.m. every single morning. They talk.
This goes to show how good of friends we are, because she was like, I don't know how you're so tolerant that the cats are crying at like 5:40 every morning, but I love you. So
thank you. They're really old cats, and they've been living with just me for many years. So I cater to their every whim. Yeah, but Rise, I think it's just so appropriate. We're rising into something new. We're
trying to uplift people.
Yeah. So because we try to uplift each other when we're not 100%. So
well, and people need to have deeper discussions. It's not about the superficial. Hey, how are you? Everything's great.
Right.
And everybody's like, yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of the feedback that we've gotten is, it just sounds like, they're sitting at brunch with their friends, some of our listeners say, and it's just, we call it real life. I won't drop the SHIT word, but
if you can spell, you know what she was going to say.
But that's our like hashtag is real life beep. Because that's what we discuss. It's like, we don't hold back. And, I think being real and being vulnerable and showing your vulnerability is really attractive and engaging. I know that's what I look for in somebody is vulnerability. So,
and I think we've opened up the floodgates for vulnerability as far as our virtual classes go, because we were in New York City for quite a while and things were shut down, locked down. It's very different here, which we're very grateful. But we had, I don't know about you, but I would get on the screen and I could barely even keep myself together. I was so emotional. And I think kind of breaking down that fourth wall, if you want to call it that, for people to see you in that vulnerable state, to almost grant permission to say, it's okay if you want to cry, if you want to laugh, if you want to scream. Like, we don't know what is going on, and we're all at least in this together. And I think there's something really, really great about kind of breaking down, as a fitness instructor, as a yoga instructor, obviously we're going to bring good energy out because that's our job. Yeah. But I think there's something really beautiful about not always being, hey guys, everything is sunny and roses and kittens. It's like sometimes we're going through stuff too. And there was something about this intimacy of having this virtual space that we didn't get to have when we were hustling around the city because we didn't have time, or it just wasn't the same. And we're in each other's homes. We see where you live, and there's something really intimate that offers up the opportunity to get real.
I can relate to that with athletes who get injured, because not everybody gets to see them in that vulnerable state of, is their career over? Are they able to come back from this? And the one thing I think you really gain from it is trust. And when you have their trust,
Definitely.
then they have the buy-in, right? And that creates the connection of why they go back to that certain place or that certain person, whether it's a fitness instructor or doctor.
Yeah.
And it's it's unique. We're lucky to be able to teach in that position.
Yeah. I got into yoga actually because I was a gymnast and I tore my ACL, and I never thought yoga would be my thing. And, you know, one of my friends was like, this is so therapeutic and you really need to do this. And I was like, ugh. And I literally was that person who would lay at the end in Shavasana with my eyes wide open, being like, this is a waste of time, you know? And then like little by little.
On your grocery list in your
I was totally that person. So
Not present.
at all. But it changed my life so much that I left, you know, a thriving corporate career to do this full time. And I've been teaching full time for 11 years now. So I think also kind of coming from that the other side gives you a little bit more of like this realism of like, you know, I didn't always like wake up and say namaste everybody, you know, like I really had to learn how to live that truth. And, you know, and now I can translate that to people who might be a little bit, especially through a computer screen. It's a little tough sometimes to, you know, get in that zone. But I think that, you know, we do that very masterfully. I think we can really get people into that mode of just detaching and being present with yourself. And I think that comes from the fact that we're real. We're the real deal. We practice it on our own.
Real deals.
The real deals.
Well, I think that too, like people want to take in content, information, news, whatever, from something that's relatable.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing like the Comcasts and all the paid corporate news of the world going down, and you see the people like Call Her Daddy and Joe Rogan are on the way up, and it's because like I can read the newspaper, I know where to go find the news. But for like my culture, like the stuff that I want to be listening to, I want to listen to people that I think are interesting or that I find relatable.
Yeah.
And so you opening up and like having talks over coffee in your kitchen or better, I don't know, wherever is, I don't know
The
where they
kitchen,
take
I think,
place.
It's been the kitchen.
The
so far,
kitchen.
but
I feel like we'd get way too comfy
yeah, I'd probably fall asleep.
in bed.
With a positive message. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are pushing. It's cool.
Absolutely. And that we never do an episode that doesn't have a positive spin, even if we talk about heavy things. I mean, we did a whole episode and I was kind of nervous about it, just talking about breakups and, you know, some of the part of the reason why, you know, we are living together is because we both, you know, went through stuff and just to be open about that also is very therapeutic for us, you know, just to talk it out. And, you know, because we also sometimes give so much to our students that we, you know, don't give back to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think this is also a way that we can do that together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, speaking of, you know, the breakup stuff, there was a little taboo type post that we noticed on your post. You each posted a photo with an object.
Oh, yes.
You care to elaborate on said object?
I'll let you start.
This sad object is my new best friend. Well, this amazing Australian-based company reached out to us. It's just so amazing that our like new, I don't want to even call it like little podcast, but it's you guys found us. This company.
We are new. Yeah,
we are new.
We're small. We're budding. I like to call us.
We're budding. I love that. But this company called Vush, VUSH, a spin, I think, on Bush.
Oh,
That's what I think.
I didn't make that connection, but
I don't know, but
right.
I don't know. I'm a weirdo about that's what I think it is, and I could be completely wrong. I probably am. But they are an intimacy company for women, and it's just the object is called the Empress 2 for those of you listening.
Wow.
And if you use our code RISE50, you can get 50% off one of those bad boys, and you should be running to the online store right now to get your Empress 2.
Anyone who's taken us up on the discount has been very satisfied.
Yes. So we're going to stay single forever. Just kidding. JK.
But we did do a whole episode on just, you know, how like that's a taboo thing to talk about too. It's like, you know, that's a form of self-care, you know, and it shouldn't be a shameful thing to take care of yourself. And you also shouldn't have to feel like you have to go out and be with anyone just to get those needs met. And so I think that that's one thing that, especially in the pandemic, it wasn't really an option.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
Let's take matters into your own hands.
Yes. So we're very grateful for these object, so you speak.
Yes, said object.
Said object.
But it's just one of those things where if you didn't just say one morning, we're going to start a podcast, like you wouldn't be sitting here. You wouldn't have had that opportunity. You wouldn't have had people found you around the world.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we wanted to preach here was like, kudos to you. Y'all went out and did it, and you're still doing it. That's the big thing, right?
Yeah, and we have a lot of topics we're going to tackle and a lot of guests. So I think that I think that's a great way to just keep branching out, is just bring, because, we can talk and talk and talk, but we also want, to kind of change it up
another
for people.
voice. We've been really good. I tend to talk a lot more.
I haven't had to use our signal yet.
We were like, last night we were on the couch. We were like, we should have a signal if I keep talking, because this is the theater in me. Just blame the theater in me, you guys. I can't shut up. And so Dina's like, we got a code. It's this. If I'm talking too much, she does this to tell me to be quiet.
Yeah, you guys need video for oh my god podcast.
We'll post the signal on our Instagram if y'all want to follow us. It's a very long Instagram name. It's Rise with Dina and Becca.
Yeah. But you know what? To piggyback on what you mentioned, where do you want our podcast to go? I think because you guys said this and we've gotten requests in the past to be like, I call it videotaping. I'm sorry. I know it's recording.
With your Android phone?
Don't make
Let's dig in. Let's go. Let's dig in.
People, the Android Google phone is worlds better.
Yes, Will Wheaton.
Well, it's just I was always an Android person, and so why would I switch? It's just like you're not what is it? iPhone person, so you're not going to switch. It's an operating system. It's what you. Anyway,
you're not going to convince us.
No, and you're not going to convince me either. I will stand alone. It's fine.
I love it.
But yeah, let's dig in. How can we find you online?
Yeah, so our Instagram is, very new, budding as well. But we would love to get our followership up. So it's Rise with Dina and Becca. If you type in Rise with, I'm sure it will come up. And my personal Instagram is just my name, Dina Ivas. That's DINAIVAS.
And I'm Becca Pace, BECCAPACE, like the salsa.
That was definitely rehearsed.
That wasn't. Although we do it in the beginning of our podcast, but we sometimes forget because we just dive right in.
We didn't know anything about podcasts. So, some people who were like, you need to put your Instagram handles in there. You need to ask people to write reviews. And we're like, oh well, all right.
Well, okay.
Good to know.
That's so cool, though, that you're like figuring that out later.
Correct.
Because so many people are like, oh, I need to like have the right microphone. I need to have the right like Instagram handle. We need to have this many followers. Like a million excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got nothing, kids. We got my Android phone.
That's what we record
on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sound quality's not
Hold
bad.
on, wait. I'm sorry.
Throwing it back to me.
The signal has arisen.
We should have learned the signal earlier, Spence.
That's cool. That's cool.
Oh my gosh.
But like honestly, thank you so much for just being, authentically yourselves, and it just shines through. And I think we'll have to find a way to have you record an episode here sometime so people can see your reactions, because you're very animated and fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast. If you'd like to give back and help our show grow, please learn about ways to give and donate at thepalmbeachpodcast.com.